All right, this time we're going to be looking at the Apple Airpods Pro when compared to the Apple Airpods Gen 2 with a wireless charging case. So, I know this channel is primarily hi-fi audio. We don't do mainstream consumer audio here at all. Well, look, that's generally true, but I got my hands on a lot of truly wireless earbuds, primarily because now that I have my Galaxy S20 Plus, and I mean, carrying around a dongle with a wired pair of earbuds it's fine. It's not a big deal, but I said, well, you know what? Let me take a look at the Bluetooth arena. Let's see what's going on here. I haven't really reviewed or listened to a Bluetooth personal audio product in 4 years. So I figured, well, this is as good a time as any to come back. And then when you had a lot of fellow audiophile YouTubers, reviewers say, hey, you guys should check out the AirPods Pro. These things are actually really not bad. They're actually a decent purchase. I mean, I scratched my head for a few days thinking if this person got a concussion or something. At first I was skeptical, but then I jumped in. I said, fine. And I bought the AirPods Pro. Then I went ahead and bought a few others so that I could compare. Now here we're going to be looking at the Apple offerings. These are the audio products in Apple's lineup that they currently are offering for their wireless, higher end wireless options. So, as far as the stuff that comes with them, they both come with their, Apple box, as you can see right there, which they always have some pretty nice packaging, that's for sure. I'm not going to deny that. Now, as you can see, the packaging for the AirPods wireless is actually a little bit thinner than the AirPods Pro. Length and width, same size. Height these are a little thicker, a little wider, because they come with more stuff inside. Now, as for the stuff that comes inside, well, with the AirPods Pro, you get, with the medium rubbers, the medium ear tips installed inside the AirPods Pro case on the actual units. And then you get the small and large included as well, so that you can swap around and find the best fit for you. You also get this interesting cable here, which is USB-C to Lightning. Mind you, the case requires that you charge it Lightning, but that USB-C goes into the wall wart, it's a good thing they gave you this one, because most modern chargers that come with mobile phones, including the iPhone and the Galaxies, is starting to include a USB-C port entry as opposed to a USB-A. Now on the flip side, with the AirPods, you get, obviously, the case, as you do here, and you get this cable. Now this cable is USB-A to Lightning. Again, gets the job done, charges them, but these are starting to become a bit obsolete. So even though it's perfectly fine right now, you might want to keep an eye out for that. Maybe get something a little different, Might be a good idea to start looking around. Make sure you get the right cable, something that'll last you for a long time. But a cable's a cable, easy to replace, not a big deal. Also, just an FYI, you're going to be seeing these ear tips right here on the AirPods Pro. These are the Dekoni bullets, and what they do is help increase the isolation with the earbuds so that ANC and transparency mode can work their best. And they also improve sound quality a little bit just by tightening the quality of the bass, and also, well, obviously improving the fit and comfort that you experience when wearing these. So yeah, if you are interested in the Dekoni audio bullets, this is Dekoni Audio, and this is what their packaging looks like. It's very interesting, and I highly recommend anybody that tries the AirPods Pro or is interested in getting these to get the Dekonis as well, especially if they're having fitment issues, which is something that I really suffer from with earbuds in general, so I recommend that. As far as their build is concerned, yeah, the AirPods Pros are going to take the win here. because both are built out of the same plastic. Don't get me wrong. It's the exact same type of feel. It's really not a difference at all. It's the exact same type of plastic in both the units and the cases themselves. So you're not going to have some sort of bias here. They mostly all feel the same. However, there are a few advantages to the Pros. The first of which is that these are water resistant and they have less ports/grills on the body for moisture to seep through. So as you can see here, this right there is a grill, but the grill looks so tightly knit, so closely knit that you'd struggle to think that water droplets would pour in through there, as opposed to the ones on the AirPods Gen 2 that very clearly look more open, more, definitely less resistant to water or sweat or any other liquid that you expose these to. Please don't do anything weird with these. The Pros really show more thought into their design. I personally believe so. Now, although both cases are made out of a similar plastic, the hinge on the Pro case is actually shows more restraint and it feels more premium. Yes, they both look like they're made out of the same materials, don't get me wrong, but if you can just see them right here like that, I'm literally not moving them. I'm just, if I slightly tilt them downward, see? This has way more restraint. Okay, that didn't show it off, but trust me, this is way more restraint and shows so there's that. Way better build quality with the hinge as opposed to these. So there's that. Now, a few other things to point out with the build quality. Both do require that lightning, as you can see right there. However, the way the cases open up is different. If you can see them side by side like that, they're practically the same size. I know it's kind of tough to see, but they're practically the same size, with the AirPods case being slightly taller and slightly wider. However, the difference is if you're stuffing both of these into your pocket down like that, this one opens upward, this one opens to the side, vertically versus horizontally. Obviously, you're going to open it up like this, but yeah, that is something to consider right there. As far as the comfort is concerned, you know what? Honestly, I'm going to give these to the AirPods Gen 2. And like I said in the Gen 2 individual review, your mileage may vary as far as these are concerned. They either fit you excellent or they fall off your ears. It's one or the other. It's never an in-between. So, honestly, you have two different feels here because these protrude into your ear canal and require the ear canal to stay snug into your ears. They don't use anything else to stay secure. Whereas these sit right next to the cavum of the ear and they just hang there. And that's literally how they stay in. So, two different types of mechanisms. One might be better for you than the other, but me personally, even though they're not the best fit in my ears, I found that at the very least, AirPods, not earpods, they stay in my ears. Even if they feel not as secure, they stay in my ears well enough. There is one benefit, however, to the Pro is that they offer a sealed earbud type of design, which means that if you are looking for passive isolation, these things are the way to go because the AirPods Gen 2 simply don't have any isolation at all. Like at all. Zero. There is also the benefit with the Pros that because you can choose a different type of ear tip and different size, like these, as opposed to the silicone stock tips, you can customize the fit so that it fits you best. Unfortunately, it's just my ears are crap. It has nothing to do with the design of these. It's just, I have trouble with earbuds staying in my ears. So even these, something that is pretty well designed with an aftermarket tip and everything, they struggle to stay in my ears. As far as the tech is concerned with these, listen, yeah, the Pros take it. They simply take it. They offer way more, and they have way more options. They're more universally compatible with Apple versus Android, and they just function better, honestly. So Don't forget, these are also water resistant, so they're safer for exercising. Fitment aside, they're just safer for working out, and you can feel more secure using these on like the toughest of workouts without feeling like they're gonna, die out on you anytime soon, thankfully. Now, as far as the signal range is concerned on these, I tested these both on my iPad and on my Galaxy S20 Plus. And here are the results. As far as the AirPod Pros are concerned, on the iPad, I got up to 40 steps until it cut off. On Android, I got up to 15 steps before they cut off. So that was kind of interesting. Now, Gen 2s on the flip side, on iPad, I got up to 50 steps. And on Android, I got up to 26 steps. So regardless of what platform you choose, the Gen 2 seem to offer way better connectivity than the Pros do. I mean, let's say Android. To have 11 more steps of range, it's pretty important, 10 to 11 more steps of range in general is actually really interesting. And both of these operate on Bluetooth 5.0. So it's not like, oh, well, one is offering the better chip or what have you. Technically, these have the better chip, so technically these should have a longer range before they cut out. Yet, despite that, for some reason, they don't. So, at the very least, that's with my testing. And both of these are on 2D15. Their firmware is on 2D15, so neither one of these could be said that, well, one is running a newer firmware or one's using a scuffed firmware. They're either... Both of these are either running the best firmware or the worst firmware, but no one has an advantage over the other. Now, as far as their features are concerned, on the Pro, you can play pause on both, although with the Gen 2s you can't on Android. You can skip tracks on both. You can answer and hang up on both. You can rewind on both, although you can't rewind on Android, on the Gen 2. You can bring up the assistant on both, but you'd require a third-party app for Android. As far as the music stopping when you remove them from your ears go, it only does that on iOS, not on Android for both of these. As far as active noise cancellation and the transparent mode goes, transparency mode, only the Pros offer that. And I guess technically speaking, these offer a transparency mode, but passive, no processing is involved as far as that's concerned, just because these have no isolation at all. And if you're looking for a neutral mode, well, obviously passive neutral mode, I guess. And as opposed to these, they do offer a neutral mode, but you can't use that neutral mode on Android. And last of all, as far as playing from one side only, both of these are capable of doing that on both iOS and Android. So definite benefits to that. Now to kick off the sound comparison, let's start with the bass. Who wins in the bass department? No contest, the AirPods Pro take the cake. And let me tell you why. I'm going to start with an example here. The Hammer by Deathclock. This track, by its very nature, this track, The Hammer by Deathclock, is warm in the mid bass. I don't know why they chose to go with it like that, but as far as the mid bass is concerned on that track, it is generally speaking above neutral. It is definitely a warm sound to the mid bass. On the Pros, it sounds more like neutral to ever so slightly less than neutral, which I don't think is a con. I think is not necessarily a pro, just not a con. It's not the worst thing in the world. As opposed to on the Gen 2, where the mid bass, stock bloated mid bass plus mid bass bloated track equals extreme bloat. That's one of those cases where you just can't listen to these because it's like, my God, that's terrible. I'll use another example. Zealots of Stockholm by Childish Gambino. On the minute 26, that bass note, on the Pros, the note hits with more rumble and texture to it. as opposed to on the Gen 2 where it hits with way more bloom and forwardness to it, but with a lack of definition. Now we approach 306, the bass drop and lift. On the Pros, they reproduce the note for a longer section of that valley, a lower section. And its pickup was far more linear per se. It definitely started playing and kept going and going like that. Definitely more linear. On the Gen 2, however, the note just fades quickly. Just reaches a chasm quickly. And it takes longer to start producing it again, reproducing it. When it returned, however, it quickly recovered and returned to the forefront. It's like, started producing sound, up there, just up there. So it's definitely a more jarring experience here, where it's like out of the nothing, it just comes out and then boom, right in front of you. As opposed to sounding more professional and linear with these, approaching from a very quiet sound to, there it is, and here it is now. Generally speaking, the Gen 2 bass just sounds quite boomy and cartoony in a sense, while the Pro's bass sounds serious, like with a really interesting kick near the bottom, where the kick drums are located in like rock or metal tracks. That's exactly where the small emphasis in the bass region lies in these. It's a very enjoyable experience. It's got all the pros of bass emphasis without any of the cons, whereas this one is the exact opposite. It's got none of the pros of the bass emphasis, but all of the cons. Now, as far as the mids are concerned, let's go ahead and dig into it before I declare a winner here. Here's an example. Dream On, the Postmodern Jukebox cover. Now, I know you're tired of probably, hearing me revert back to the same old tracks, but the thing is, the more I dig into a particular track, the more familiar it's going to become to not only me as a reviewer, but you as a consumer. So the more familiar you are with a track, the easier it is to determine differences, pros and cons of whatever it is you're listening to. So on the Gen 2, female vocals sound more open and free because of their generally open design. Whereas on the Pros, the female vocals still sound great, but they have a more closed and boxed in sort of sound. Not that boxed in, but just they don't sound as open as they do on the Gen 2. Now, as we approach the cello solo at 231, on the Gen 2s, the cello has a more full sound to it that is personally just a more engrossing sound. It's very, very it's very enticing. It gets you really into it and just like, wow, yeah, that's a cello right there. I'm not saying they're incredibly impressive. All I'm saying is, by comparison, these have the more enjoyable cello sound to them. On the Pros, the cello is still quite enjoyable, and it is slightly more forward, which is a pro, but they have an overall thinner sound to them. That is just, I wouldn't say it's not enjoyable, but it detracts from the overall enjoyment of the cello. Another example, Titanium, the Postmodern Jukebox cover. On the Gen 2, Von Smith sounds a bit laid back in comparison, but offers lush vocals. Very nice. On the Pros, Von Smith is a tad more forward and a tad more discernible, but at a slight reduction in lushness. I described this in the other two reviews, the AirPods Pro and AirPods Gen 2 reviews. It's like, imagine you take his voice, or a voice, male or female. Then you grab like the brush meant for, cooking and pastries, and you apply a thin layer of glaze on it. And that's what you got. You still have some very enjoyable vocals, but that thin layer of glaze just kind of smoothens everything out a bit and makes it a little more lush, more, I don't know, just easy to listen to, I guess, but without losing detail. Just kind of strips away some of the harshness that may come from the vocals a bit. As far as it's concerned, the AirPods Gen 2 have a little more of that glaze going on, which, in my opinion, as far as enjoyability goes, is a little better. I'm not saying it's correct, I'm just saying it makes it a little more enjoyable and easier to listen to, especially when the vocals are the main image and you don't want something incredibly shrill or hard to listen to. Now we approach the treble. Who wins treble? Pros. Pros win treble. They win treble, undeniably. Listen. The pros don't necessarily have like miles of better extension per se, but they definitely have better treble presence as far as the how forward the treble is. Like if you asked me, the treble on this is definitely way too laid back, and the treble on this is slightly too forward. But as far as what's more correct between the two, the AirPod Pros are slightly more correct in their overall presence in the treble. Now, cymbals fade into the background for longer on the Pros than with the AirPods Gen 2, which is a characteristic of a more airy and treble-forward experience. So you do get with that with the Pros, and that is far more enjoyable in like 90% of cases. In the other 10%, you are probably, well, I'll get into that later. Soundstage and Imaging. Who do I give this one to? Well, as far as Soundstage goes, I give it to the Gen 2. Primarily because, not that they both possess the same width as far as the Soundstage is concerned, but the openness of the Gen 2 adds to the whole wide and spacious type of sound. So there's a big benefit to that, although it's not like night and day difference either. However, imaging goes to the Pros, because the Pros definitely outclass the Gen 2 in imaging capabilities, although they're not exactly kings of imaging or anything like that either. But yes, there is definitely a difference, and the Pros just image better than the Gen 2. Now, some final notes and remarks before reaching the conclusion here. Throughout my listening and my overall time of ownership, I definitely encountered some slight glitches with these when disconnecting and reconnecting. So, like 1 out of 10 times, only one side would play, or one side would play louder than the other, which is something I only experienced on the Gen 2, or, well, there's no or. That was pretty much about it. Online, people have complained about these issues on older firmwares. Keep in mind, like I said before, these are both running on 2D15. That is the latest firmware as of May 2020. So if the firmware is scuffed, these are scuffed, but they're equally scuffed, and there's no disadvantages or no benefits to going over one or the other. Listen, do you need noise cancellation? Get the Pros. Obviously, these things have zero isolation. These things are they have some of the best ANC on the market. They do. I'm not saying the best, but one of the best, and they'll definitely get you through the day far better than the AirPod Gen 2 are concerned. Listen, the Pros win hands down. Honestly, listen, these things are worth $250 retail. These things are worth, I think $200, but right now you can actually get these for like $230, and you can get these for $180. Look, at $50 more, you're getting like 2 to 3 times the headphone, the audio product, than you're getting here. And as far as tech is concerned, you're getting way more functionality with the AirPods Pros than the AirPods Gen 2. It's an absolute no-brainer unless for some reason you simply cannot use the AirPods Pro. So, way better price to performance here, if you could believe it. Commonly asked questions. We already answered noise cancellation. Do I want my music to sound good? Get the Pros. Simple as that. Do I only need these for YouTube videos, like to watch YouTube videos and podcasts while moving around? Well, then try to get a good deal on these Gen 2s. As I mentioned in the Gen 2 review, there are definitely a lot of places on the internet where you can get these for pretty cheap, in like excellent condition or pretty much brand new in some cases. I'll go ahead and leave a link below to our Apple Swap, which is a forum dedicated exclusively to buying and selling and trading Apple products there. And you can get yourself a pair of these with a wireless charging case for, I've seen people sell these for like 120, 130, and at that price point, if all you're doing is watching YouTube videos and just using them from podcasts, then they might be worth it. If you can't use the AirPod Pros and you really don't need these for music. Now, do I only want to use these for workouts? Well then, if you are willing to EQ that bass down on the Gen 2s, on the mid bass, and try to obtain ear hooks, these could be a pretty good option. Now, these are not water resistant, however, so you do run the risk of these failing on you, so you should probably buy Apple Care Plus, and then that adds to the cost, and then makes them not worth it, and honestly, at that point, it just becomes a lost cause. In the vast majority of cases, if you can get the AirPods Pros, these things are going to be one of the best audio products that you will have invested as a mainstream consumer. As an audiophile, listen, I'm not telling you these are better than your HD 600s. I'm not telling you these are going to be better than your Odyssey LCD 2s or whatever. No. I'm not here to tell you that. But if you need a wireless solution, these is going to be one of the better wireless solutions that you can get in such a portable form factor in such a convenient way. So I'm going to leave it at that. Which of these do I like more? I think it's plainly obvious. It's obvious to see. Now, coming up next, we're going to have a few other truly wireless earbuds, and I'm going to go ahead and review these. Now, I think I might start releasing this in a little more rapid succession, just because I don't want the truly wireless saga to take way too much time and just like have all the the OG audiophile people just waiting for audio products to come in, like real audio. So yeah, I'm gonna start doing that, and then if anything, just every now and then also putting in like hi-fi audio products as well. For example, I got my hands on the Stax L300, the SRS 3100 combo. So I'm also going to be reviewing that and making comparisons to other hi-fi products. So as these truly wireless videos release, those will release as well, and just kind of like intertwine with the two of them so that I'm appealing to as many people as possible. So yeah, once again, don't forget to check out the Patreon down below. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos related to audio, both hi-fi, pretty much hi-fi, and every now and then some mainstream consumer BS. And so thank you very much for watching, and let me know what you want to see next. See ya.